out pre-match press conference ahead of Monday's game against Crystal Palace at the start of a clashing final at Sky Sports, please.
Hi, Sean. Morning. Player availability, first of all, we saw Amadou Onana back off the bench and Seamus Coleman last week. Are they fit and ready to start maybe on Monday?
Yeah, they're certainly back in the thinking. Both come through a few days training very well. Duke's got a chance as well. He's back in the thinking. He's been on the grass with us this week, which is good news. So they certainly come back into the squad with the thought of getting in the side.
Will you be tempted with Doucouré because he has been such an important player for you?
Yeah, he's done very well. If he's right and he feels right, then he's certainly in the thinking. We've got a couple of days now to train before the game, obviously, so we'll see how that goes.
How's Ben Godfrey?
Yeah, he's good, yeah. Yeah, just a bug, so that's passed pretty good.
Yeah, and are we still some way off with Arnaud Danjuma and Andre Gomez?
Yeah, both of them. Andre's back on the grass, but it's still got to be a delicate one with his calves. He's had a few of them now, so we've got to be careful with that. And Arnie's going well, but he's got a few weeks yet.
And you're back on the grass on Monday. How was it up in the stand at Manchester City?
Yeah, not ideal.
Good view?
Not ideal. Nice heated seat. No, it's not ideal being up there. It's not really my bag. But
did it affect much?
No, I think the lads did great. I mean, you got communication with them. It just feels different. You can't get involved emotionally in the game because you have to stay quiet. You're not going to sit. Even I don't sit up there and start shouting onto the pitch like Brian Clough used to when I was younger.
It's hard to stay quiet, isn't it? And
it is when you're me.
Yeah. Well, on your best behaviour now till the end of the season.
No, definitely not.
You've not won any of the last 7 Premier League games, unfortunately. Has that affected morale, confidence?
No, I don't think so. I think some of the performances have been very good. Clean sheets in amongst them and points against some tough sides. So I think there's a good challenge for the group. A lot of games coming up to Christmas and then come out the back of that, players getting fit again. So I think there's a lot of positive signs about what we're trying to do. We've just got to score more goals, and I think we all know that.
Becoming familiar with Crystal Palace, this will be the 4th meeting this season, but you haven't lost any of them. Does that affect this one on Monday?
No, I don't think you go and watch before, but I think we're capable of being competitive in every game. I think we've shown that, and I think the margins are important. We've got to get the right side of that. That's the only thing that's been missing when we haven't won, I think, when we've created chances, haven't scored goals, that sort of thing. But no, they're a good outfit. We've played them, as you said, a number of times this season, so we want the right outcome for ourselves.
Does it affect the game? You know each other's games so well, I suppose, and played recently as well.
No, I don't think so. I think every game's different. Every game plays out different. Tactics and all that. Most teams have a more sort of go-to shape, if you like, which I think they will have, and ourselves included. And most teams do. So no, I think it's about turning up on the day and playing and delivering a performance like it always is.
They're not in a good run of form, are they? It's just 2 wins from the last 13 Premier League games, and unfortunately Roy Hodgson taken ill on Thursday. Do you feel for him and his position at the moment?
Well, I certainly wish him well. I sent a message out and just briefly spoke to Ray Lewin and on a message, so I believe things are okay at the minute. We wish him well, and we want that before anything. Great guy, someone I respect greatly, and Ray too, so we're hoping that recovers, but obviously when the game comes round, we've got to look all beyond that. It's an important game, it's important to us, the points are important, so, that has to be part, but bigger than the game is certainly his health, and I hope he is well, and I hope he comes through it with no problems.
I suppose even Roy would acknowledge that run of form, it's part and parcel of people putting you under pressure, really, in the Premier League.
Well, I think everyone's under pressure in the Premier League, regardless, you're whether you're top, middle or bottom, everyone's looking to say, can you win the next game? We certainly put ourselves under our own pressure to win games, and that's what we're going to do for this one.
I think you've already mentioned it, goals have been an issue. I know you've not scored in 4 of the last 5 Premier League games, and quite naturally people look at Dominic Calvert-Lewin and that run of games without a goal. Are you still pleased with his performance?
Yeah, so it's not about one player, it's about all the team, and I think we're trying to enhance that with the group, the mentality that everyone can score a goal. It's not looking at one player. And I think Dom's given a good level of performance, and something will work for him. It's kind of that scenario. Sometimes you get lucky when it hits you and goes in. Sometimes you've got to work for the goal, and I think he's finding that balance. He is working. Goals will come his way, I'm sure of that. But it's a team responsibility. It's not just one player.
It's Jack Harrison who goes in.
Well, say la vie.
And we're still awaiting the verdict, of course, on the appeal following the 10-point deduction. I think we were hopeful it was going to be by the end of this week. It's dragging on a bit. Is that bad for the club and the fans, really?
It hasn't dragged on for me. It's just the case of how it's mapped out. So we would get in a very general timeline, probably over the next couple of weeks. Wait and see.
Okay, and just away from what's happening on the pitch, Monday is Everton in the community's 36th anniversary, which is quite an achievement, really. I know you've been involved in certain aspects of that since you've been at the club, but they do it really well, don't they? And it's important too.
Yeah, they do. I've been learning about it. My time is limited, obviously, what I can do with that. But I've been down to the People's Place, see what they do there. They've brought groups up to the training ground to share with the players, which has been great. But yeah, I'm learning about it, to be honest, and I know they do a lot of good. I know they have done for many, many years, and a lot of good people affecting the area, and long may it continue, and long may it keep progressing.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
John, when you play a team a couple of times so close together, is that a help or a hindrance in any way at all?
I don't think it's. I don't think it's particularly. You like to think, you just get a bit more knowledge on the team, because we can all analyse games, which we do. We can all look at the team formats, but when you play, you learn a little bit more about the nuances of the team and the individuals. But I think it's still, most people in the Premier League know what each other are about. Obviously, if change of coach and managers change things sometimes, but generally speaking, most teams know what each other are about. It's about delivering performance. I speak to our players about it all the time. How much analysis you do on the opposition, we've got to perform, and I think that's been an idea I've been speaking about this group since I got here, the consistency of performance as well. And I think it's been pretty good this season, actually. So turning them consistent performance into wins is the challenge. We've done that somewhat this season. We've got to do it again.
And when you take on a team that's close to you or in and around where you are in the league position, does there have any change? Do you take any a change of approach in how you go into that?
I think the noise around it changes, but at the end of the day, the mentality we've been trying to build here is every game's a big game, every game's an important game, so that we find, yet again, that word consistency. You find that consistency in the mentality of the group. So I think we'll be ready. We've been ready for every game this season. A couple we've stepped away from, we haven't done well, but most we've been a very competitive side, and we've got to continue with that train of thought amongst all the games we play.
And Roy, obviously, at the age of 76, incredible that he's still got the thirst for
Yeah, absolutely.
management. I mean, what do you think is maybe driving somebody at that sort of age? Do you expect to be still working as a manager at 76?
I certainly don't, and I won't be, but that's not questioning him. He's got a desire, he's got a bug for the game, like we all have in one way or another. I've never really, I've met Roy a number of times, been, done coaches groups with the leaders in sport and things like that, and spoke to him personally, but I never really brought it up actually at that age or anything like that. I think if you've got the desire to keep going and keep doing what you do, no matter what you do, not just football manager, I think why not? I can't see myself being that age doing it, but that's no question on others. It's not because I don't love the game, I just can't. I just get to a point when you go, no, that's enough. But he's still got the fire to keep going. But like I said, first of all, we wish him well. I hope that he recovers.
Thanks, Fraser. We'll go to Mike at BBC Radio Merseyside.
Sean, even though the wins in the Premier League have been thin on the ground over the past couple of months, it's worth considering that you've played Man City twice and given them out yourself. 1 point against Tottenham that could easily have been 4. Aston Villa, decent at Goodison, goalless against Fulham also when you created enough chances to win 4 games. I know you said you've been happy with the level of performance, but have the players also been able to take positives, even though there has been a shortage of...
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a belief in the group. It's not just my belief in them. I think it's grown their ownership of it, and as a group, and I think the demand has risen as well. I think they demand more from each other, and I think that's given some positives, as you said. And sometimes, you're right. You've got a manager's, coach's job, and the players is to look through the actual outcome and the result, and see what we're doing and see what the performances are. And I agree. I think we've played some very tough sides. I think we've played some tough games. And we've been a very small margin away from winning certainly a couple of them games. But they are the margins that count. We can do all the good stuff, but you've got to reward yourself by taking them big moments, by finding a goal, by finding a cross, by finding a pass, and of course, while keeping the back door locked. But we've been pretty good on that side of things. So I think the team know that. How many different scorers can we get? How many different ways of scoring? How many different chances? All the noise XG, and I've used it myself because it has been quite extraordinary, the level of it. But you've got to put it into action. You can't just keep relying. I've spoken to the players endlessly about it. It doesn't. Even my words, the idea of good XG, good performances, and all that. That's all well and good, but we can't wait for it to happen. I say all the time, you've got to make it happen, and that's the next step. Not worrying about all the noise, just making it happen. And I think we're very close to that.
What's the key, do you think, to finding that much needed conviction and composure in the final third? Because it's only done on the training ground to prepare for matches, and
it's having the freedom to take on a chance. I call it freedom to miss. You know, don't worry about missing. I don't count players for missing. I get them if they're not in there to score. But as long as they're in the right areas and they keep going in the right areas and they try and score, no problem for me. But you've got to be a freedom. You've got to be relaxed enough to miss a chance. You know, not be uptight. Just take it on and be clear-minded and sort of, you know, bloody-minded, if you like, and not worry about it. You know, if it goes, it goes. If it doesn't go our way, it doesn't go our way. But get in the right areas, keep getting in the right areas consistently, and have the freedom to miss, as I say. So I think that's the mentality we're trying to build here, and I think there's been signs of it. We had good scoring spells and with clean sheets as well, and then we've gone a little bit soft with it. But it's a collective responsibility. It's certainly not, you know, one player's responsibility. It's everyone's responsibility.
Getting Abdoulaye Doucouré back in the starting lineup whenever that's possible is going to be a positive.